Hi, I'm Bob Williamson. Welcome to Honey Lake Church. Today I've got a special guest with me. His name is Mark Whitacre. He's from up in Ohio, and we're really blessed today. He's quite famous. The movie was made of his life, a whimsical movie, and a documentary, which is not whimsical and is more the true life, and a book written about him. Mark, you've had quite a life. You started out in college and very bright, made great, tremendous grades, distinguished yourself in academics, and then got into the workforce and rose up to number 4 man and $70 billion company, and looked like you had your whole life was just gonna be perfect. But unfortunately, it didn't turn out like that. And we were talking earlier about people thinking if they only had millions of dollars, it would solve all their problems. You found out otherwise, correct?
I sure did, Bob. I can remember when I was a young student finishing up my PhD at Cornell with a PhD in biochemistry from an Ivy League university. I can remember being around the other PhD students. Boy, we're going to make millions of dollars with this intellect. It's in the early 80s when biotech was really just starting to boom and genetech was coming about. And it's amazing. We all did get those billions of dollars. But by the age 32, I was already top executive of one of the largest companies in the world, earning 7 figures with bonuses, stock options and bonuses. And I tell you something, and base salary, one thing I learned very clearly was that no matter what promotion I got, no matter what raise or set of stock options, own corporate jet, and so on, there was always a void in my heart the size of Grand Canyon. That I really learned that no matter how much money I made, it was never going to fill that void.
Yeah, I went through that myself. You know, you get the planes and the boats and the money and all the material possessions somebody could want, but it just seems like it's never enough. And King Solomon, even the richest man, wisest man in the world, said it was like watching sand go through his fingers one time. And it took 8.5 years of prison for you to turn yourself around. You said that it wouldn't have taken that long because you came to God, what, about a year in?
No, about my 3rd month in. I was already being discipled 7 months before I went to prison by a gentleman. So I was already being discipled from someone from a Christian businessman connection. So about 10 months of meeting with him, which was my 3rd month in prison, is when I surrendered my life to Christ.
And that by surrender, a lot of people don't know what that means. Would you describe what it means?
Yeah, by surrendering my life to Christ is that getting down on my knees and totally giving the steering wheel to Jesus. That for now on, all those decisions that turned out to be a train wreck in my life, it was like a pinball, going down a pinball machine, bouncing from wall to wall. Even though the world would say that is a successful man by the world's definition of success. It was a very chaotic life. It was very purposeless. There was no purpose in my life. So by surrender, I mean actually bringing the Holy Spirit into my heart and letting it guide each and every day of my life.
I experienced that too. I found that I gave my heart to Christ and declared with my mouth that He was Lord and the Son of God, and that He was resurrected. But you know, some days you'd be hard pressed to see it in my life. And I found that surrendering was putting God first above everything else, even my family. It was God, family, career, health, whatever is all below that. Whenever I got them mixed up, God was quick to remind me. And I think that from what I've seen, and I've known you quite a while now, and I mean, you're the real deal. I don't think you get them mixed up very much anymore, do you?
No, God is for sure paramount in my life, the relationship with Jesus Christ. I feel strongly to be a witness for Jesus. I became a believer at age 41, and I'm 57 now, 57 years old. And if every day I feel like I need to be out there being a witness for Jesus about what He's done in my life. And then my family, number two, but boy, what greatest blessing He gave me with my family. A marriage that 35 years married this year with a divorce rate for the incarcerated of 99%, 35 years married. And just God's greatest blessing He gave me was my wife and children to stick with me. 3 years of undercover, 9 years of prison, for them to stick through all that.
Yeah. Well, I think that God, that we're very similar in a lot of ways. Our story is not exactly the same, but, God gave me the gift of His Son, and then He gave me a godly wife, just like your wife was godly. I've been married 43 years, and she was an anchor for me, and I would drift off, but, wild child, rebellious, but it was a very strong anchor that held me in place. And so I think that God knows what we need and provides it for us. I don't think that the answer to that was money or the fame or the power that you had in the position that you were in as you found out. Correct?
Well, the world defines success by shooting for a position like that, how much money you have, what your title is, how big is the company, and the world defines success by wealth and position and power. In reality, I learned now, especially the last 17 years, I want a life of significance, not a life of success. Success is not what Jesus wants. The successful life, as far as I'm concerned now, is a life that's serving Jesus. That's a successful life.
I'm reminded of Christ, who came to a world that He created, and He was so humble that He was born in a manger, and He was washing people's feet, and He came to serve. By nature of who He was, He should have been on the biggest throne and the most powerful and so forth, but He chose not to, and we're to emulate Him. And it seems that you've learned that very, very well. Now, you speak something like 86 times a year, which is unbelievable. There's only 52 weeks in a year, and yet you're speaking 86 times that you did last year, and I think you say you're probably going to exceed that again
this year.
So obviously, you have a heart for evangelism, as do I. Now, what does that mean to you? And why do you think that you have such a heart for other people now, when you were so self-serving before? Now you're serving people. I know you want to serve God, but what is the special significance of evangelism to you?
Special significance of evangelism for me, most of my presentations are mostly in the marketplace, in the workplace. There's all these Mark Whitacres out there that were like I was.
Why do you care about them?
I just, because that's where Jesus has led me. God has led me.
You don't know any of these people.
No.
And most of them or many of them, not most of them, but a lot of them are greedy and self-serving and chasing a buck just like you were. Why do you care whether or not they go to heaven?
God has spoke to me, and He spoke out loud and clearly with Matthew 28:19, go and make disciples of all nations. And it just has given me so much passion to be, and more passion I've ever had in my life, to go out and share with the marketplace and plant seeds, people who don't know Christ, to pray that they are led to Christ just like I was, that they will have a lot more of a life of significance. It'd be servant leadership instead of selfish leadership. But God has really led me that direction, and I personally don't see anything more important in life than that in my life.
And I feel the exact same way. I've been led to evangelism, and I think it's the heart of God. And when you reach that spiritual maturity where you really surrender and you want to emulate Christ, if you don't have that heart of God for evangelism, and sense that urgency that unless these people change the way they're heading, like me right now, if I would have died back when I was in that condition, I'd be in hell right now, forever.
Yeah.
So
both of us would have been.
We both would be. So, well, it's good having you here. We really, really appreciate it. I know you're a busy man, and you speak to 10,000 people. You come to our little church. You've honored us, and we appreciate it. And that again, I think shows the heart of Christ, because sometimes he'd talk alone with a Samaritan woman, and sometimes he'd talk to a crowd of 5,000. It really is just whomever he met, wherever he met them, he was prepared to go. So I appreciate that, my brother, and God bless you with your ministry. This is Mark Whitacre, and is markwhitacre.com?
Yes.
And you can go online on markwhitacre.com. He's got a book, he's got a documentary, he's got his story. He's with CMBC, Christian Businessman's Connection. He's an ambassador for them. And Mark could be making millions of dollars today, but he chooses this life that is much simpler and much less from the world standards. Doesn't pay as well, but he's reaping eternal awards, and he doesn't do what he does for the money. I can tell you personally on that. He does it because he loves God, and he has a heart for the lost. So we thank you, Mark, and God bless you.
Thank you, Bob. Wonderful
and
to
this
be here.
is Bob Williamson. We thank you for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed, and we highly recommend that you share Mark's testimony with others. Just go on honeylakechurch.com and you can watch it, and I think that you'll really get a lot out of it. Thank you.